Whiterun, the first major city that players set foot in, and it's also the home of many characters we love, and also those we love to hate. You clicked on this video, you know we're talking about Nazeem today. Just by hearing that name, I'm sure your blood pressure doubled and your screen is in dire danger of being punched. But rest assured, this is 100% an anti-Nazeem channel. But today, I am here to answer the question, why is Nazeem so hated? I mean, there's a whole subreddit dedicated to hating him, albeit small, but size doesn't matter, right? Just the way he is just standing right now, I want to punch him so much! We all know that he's pretentious and a little bit of a dick, but how bad does it get? Well, after conducting extensive research, aka watch videos of people doing research instead of me actually doing it, I have gathered all of the reasons why Nazeem is the worst character in the Elder Scrolls universe. Just wanted to mention that all the sources that I use as research are in the description, so shout out to those creators. And redditors, I guess. Before getting into the reasons, let's take a moment to just get to know him. Nazeem is a Redguard citizen of Whiterun who is known throughout the city as a spoiled brat. He is married to Alam, another Redguard living in the city who works at the Temple of Kinnereth as a priest, but we'll talk more about her and their broken relationship a little bit later. There are 3 districts in Whiterun. First, we got the Plains District. This is where most of your common folk reside. Well, you'll find the taverns and the market stalls, and it's ironically where Nazeem spends most of his time. The Wind District, where the higher middle class will be, the houses of the Greymanes and the Battleborns, the Temple of Kinnereth, and your Vasker. And finally, the Cloud District, which is where the Jarl lives. Most of the district is being comprised of Dragon's Reach. Now, if you have mods like I do, you might have other districts, but these are technically not canon, so we will not talk about these. Nazeem lives in the attic of the Drunken Huntsman, which we will talk a bit about later, and his daily activity consists of waking up in the morning and heading directly to the market to bitch about the merchandise. At noon, he will start walking around Whiterun through the Plains District and the Wind District, and around 4 PM he will return to the Drunken Huntsman and drink and eat all alone. And then goes to bed and sleeps for a whopping 12 hours before doing it all over again. You might want to say that this is the dream life, but after a while it will get so boring, and no wonder he's so miserable. With his wealth, you would think that he would travel, maybe start a Lego collection. I know what I would do if I were rich. But no, all he does is flaunt his wealth and arrogance left and right, spreading negative energy throughout Whiterun. Or maybe not all of Whiterun, because he technically never goes to the Cloud District. Maybe we'll touch on that later. And now that we have all the background information, let's go into the reasons why we all hate him. Nazeem is a professional flexer. This guy is basically the Rizegum of Skyrim. Nazeem is rich, but he wasn't born into wealth. Instead, he built a slow empire as his wealth comes mostly from chill for a farm. He makes sure to tell you about this story every single day that you interact with him.
Oh, it took years, but I earned my way to the top. I own Chilfaro Farm, you see. Very successful business, obviously.
He also brags about his influence on the city in the Civil War as he's one of the Jarl's most trusted advisors, or so he claims.
I actually advise the Jarl on political matters. My input is invaluable, of course, but this is all probably a bit over your head.
Between 9 and noon, he bothers merchants. He calls Carlotta's fruits and vegetables disappointing because they don't come from his farm.
These fruits and vegetables are disappointing, Carlotta.
Get them fresh from the farms daily, Nazeem.
If you were getting them from my farm, they'd be twice as fresh.
Anoriev is being called out for not having fresh meat in stock, even though he hunts every single morning, so his meat is always the freshest in town, if you know what I mean.
Do you have anything even remotely fresh?
I can assure you it's all fresh. I hunt the game myself every day.
As you say.
Maybe you'd like to try the Horker, or some beef.
Not only this, but he's also a little bit racist.
You don't prepare the meat with any of those strange elven spices, do you?
Ah, no elven spices, just some salt to preserve it. You're not afraid of salt, are you?
I'm not afraid of anything. I simply prefer quality merchandise. No, this meat won't do it all. Too much fat. And it all smells wrong.
Suit yourself then. The woods are that way, outside the walls. Walk straight ahead, can't miss them. Good luck on your hunt.
Good day.
Not to mention that Anorianth, who is not only the primary hunter in Whiterun, but owns the Drunken Huntsman along with his brother Elrinder, the very building that Nazeem resides in. So not only is he an asshole with a merchant, he's an asshole to the very person who puts a roof over his and his wife's head. Now yeah, he's a landlord, so he should be getting paid for that room, but if Nazeem were to do something with his day business, I'm sure that Skyrim doesn't have any tenant protection laws and Anorianth can just throw Nazeem into the streets whenever he would feel like it. Nazeem is a lying scumbag. As we established, he never actually goes to the Cloud District. He says and acts that he's an advisor and that he's very trusted by Jarl Balgruuf, but that actually seems to be a lie.
I actually advise the Jarl on political matters.
I've never met this man in my life.
Maybe he's not lying about being an advisor, but definitely not as important as he says. Maybe he was an advisor and that he was pretty important back in the day, but now he does nothing of value. One other thing is that he says he owns Chillfellow Farm, which is true. Chillfellow Farm is an actual location just outside the walls, but again, he never actually goes there in the vanilla game. However, if you have the Skyrim unofficial patch, which I do, that changes a lot of things, including some NPC AI. Nazeem will visit it, and even then he would only visit in the weekend, which makes no sense. You would think that with as much time on his hands, he would at least go to the farm, look at the quality of the crops, maybe count his money. If he were smart, he would actually travel around Skyrim, try to expand his business, sell his crops around, but no. In vanilla, which I actually have to state because I have about 1,000 mods that might or might not change the play significantly, I don't even know. The farm produces cabbage, wheat, chickens, eggs, and ox milk. Wilmoth is his worker at the farm that offers no original dialogue, but one thing we know about this guy is that he's dedicated to the farm and spends his whole day there, unlike the actual owner. And he's so hardworking. I mean, no matter the weather, he will be outside doing manual labor. Supposedly, Nazeem is also the owner of Wintersand Manor. We know this by checking his inventory and seeing that he has a key to it. But the building doesn't actually exist in the base game. It's a piece of cut content that is confirmed since there are many remaining game files mentioning Wintersand Manor that are actually empty. I guess Bethesda forgot to remove the keys when they cut Wintersand Manor as a whole from the game. But the point I'm trying to make is that the house doesn't actually exist. But if he's so rich, why is he paying rent at the Drunken Huntsman? I mean, owning a house? In this economy? Even Carlotta, a single mom, can afford her own place. A huge house at that. I guess child support bills are crazier in Skyrim, Jesus Christ. Even Heimskr has a house, albeit small. In Toronto, this would be at least 3 million septims. Mods such as Cutting Room Floor that restores a lot of cut content also restores locations such as Wintersand Manor. Now this is a mod and doesn't necessarily mean that this is the way Bethesda intended the content to exist, but it gives us a very good idea. I mean, the manor should have been within Whiterun's walls and not outside according to the game files, and when Bethesda cut the location, and I would have imagined it to look a little fancier than it does in the mod, but it does do a good job for at least including it. The manor was probably supposed to be part of the Cloud District, but given limitations and how small the district ended up being, that's probably the reason why Bethesda decided to remove it. Nazeem was done very dirty by Bethesda. We said earlier that Nazeem complains about the merchandise at the Whiterun market every day, and even tells Carlotta that if her vegetables came from his farm, they would be a lot fresher. But if Whiterun's local merchants don't buy his stock, who does? How does Nazeem even make money? Does he even make as much money as he says? What if he's actually secretly poor? I mean, ew. Poor people. I mean, he does flaunt his wealth that he might or might not have while wearing fine clothes, while his wife works a day job and wearing regular common clothing. Now that's something we should consider. But if that's not enough to convince you, I have yet another argument as to why Nazeem is a broke bitch. If you engage with the quest Deceiving the Herd, which is basically about helping the vampires make the Dawnguard look bad by creating a fuss in a city, and there's a chance that you get Whiterun. Now I tried my best to make this quest work, but for some reason I was not able for the life of me to get it to start, so we'll use the wiki to prove my point. The quest giver, Faran Sagery, would ask you to wear Dawnguard armor to make them look bad, and also preferably kill a high profile victim. It just so happens that if you kill Nazeem, you don't actually get the high profile victim bonus, implying that Nazeem is, well, low profile. He's not on the high profile character list, but you know who is? Mikhail. A bard is apparently more important than a self-proclaimed millionaire. No one likes him, he's a broke bitch, and that's one extra reason why he's an absolute fraud. Either Nazeem is a has-been, or he's a never-been. Either way, he's a lying scumbag. Nazeem is a bitch boy. In the companion's quest called Rescue Mission, you are tasked to rescue someone who has been kidnapped. Now this quest is somewhat procedurally generated, so the person who is kidnapped is pretty much random. One of the characters could end up being Nazeem, and if that happens in your game, I urge you not to rescue him. Do not complete that quest, you'll be a lot happier if you don't. But a quest I enjoy a whole lot more is one called Hired Muscle. Just like the previous one, there's a long list of NPCs that can be used for this quest, and Nazeem is once again part of that list. If it happens that you get to beat the shit out of Nazeem, you know you'll have a good day. This quest alone is proof that even other characters in Whiterun hate Nazeem to the point that they want him to be beat up. And while we're on the topic of bitch boy, anyone who even considers to support Nazeem also falls in that category. Any Nazeem lover like Lincoln deserves the same treatment. Yes, I actually named my Patreon tiers after Nazeem. If this is not proof enough that he's a bitch boy, I don't know what is. Nazeem is a cuck. In the game files that remain from Wintersand Manor, it is confirmed that Nazeem and Alam are both occupants of the location. Going to his wife, Alam is a healer / priest at the Temple of Kinnereth. She is basically a nurse. Whenever you interact with her, she's pretty salty. Either she complains about her husband or men in general.
Looking for my husband, Nazeem?
So great.
Check the Jarl's backside. That's usually where he stuffs himself these days. Men are all alike, from Skyrim to Hammerfell. They care only for war and politics, and treat their women like cattle.
After listening to these lines, I guess we can conclude that she's not in a happy marriage. I mean, how could she be when she's married to such a scumbag? But I digress.
To be honest, I was thinking of Nazeem. The gap between us seems to be widening. He's just so self-absorbed. He's been spending more and more time fawning over the Jarl.
Now the issue here is actually another worker at the temple. This absolute hunk of a man, Acolyte Jensen. While this guy is indeed probably the hottest piece of meat in Whiterun, his IQ is not necessarily off the charts because he offers no unique dialogue. But if you were to get a little bit sneaky behind him, you could grab his butt. I mean, if you get sneaky behind him, you can maybe catch a whiff. I mean, if you were to look in his inventory, you can probably spot something that doesn't belong. A key to Wintersand Manor. Now it's very sus that he has one to begin with, but who could have given it to him if not Alam, who sees him basically every day at work? He's what some would call a work husband, who, if Wintersand Manor existed in the final game, you could have probably found him inside at night going over some healing techniques with his coworker Alam. Now is this 100% confirmation that Nazeem's being cheated on? Not necessarily, but it would be the most likely explanation as to why Jensen is allowed in the house. That, combined with Alan's frustrations with her husband, make up for a very convincing argument. Now another possibility is that Nazeem is the one who is cheating on Alan with Jensen. While we cannot know for sure since all of this comes from COD content, I think it would be more likely for Alam to be the one cheating on her husband because she always complains about him, mentions that he's consumed with the civil war, and has a job with Jensen even when her husband's supposedly ballin'. So technically if she really had that money, she wouldn't need to work. Nazeem is sus. Now, before getting to the next point, I just gotta say there's nothing wrong with being gay. Nariva TV is a very inclusive platform. We accept and we love everyone. Now with that being said, Nazeem likes dick. Nazeem is deep in the closet, and you can see this by taking his clothes off as a woman, and he doesn't say anything if that's the case.
I really do have important matters to tend to.
Excuse me? More important matters? Now I'm offended. But if you take your clothes off as a man...
Put on a cloth sack at the very least. You're making me unseasonably warm.
Now you can't say that that's a coincidence. Maybe Nazeem is actually the one cheating on his wife, there's no way. I don't even know what to believe anymore. With this information, we can make a solid argument that the reason he ignores his wife so much is because he is not attracted to her in any way. And she is clearly suffering from it, always complaining about him. But maybe that's the reason why she has an attitude towards all men, from Skyrim to Hammerfell. Jensen being a Nord from Skyrim and Nazeem a Redguard from Hammerfell. Now it's all coming together. Or at least Nazeem and Jensen are coming together. No matter who Jensen is actually sleeping with, he would seem to be a pretty major part in destroying these guys' relationship. He's a homewrecker. Another theory that is floating around is that Nazeem is secretly going to the Cloud District to have sweet intercourse with Jarl Balgruuf. Now I don't really believe in this, given that he doesn't really go to the Cloud District. Maybe in some cut content there would have actually been something there, but Bethesda would have done a way better job at cleaning that up than they did with Acolyte Jensen. So why in the end so many people actually hate Nazeem? The question's not answered yet, but before we do, I gotta call a friend. So basically what I want to do is I want to have a documentary about a secret subject. I want to ask you your opinion on this certain subject and I'll ease you in. So I have a few questions.
Okay, I'm ready now.
So how familiar would you say you are with like Skyrim lore, cut content, character secrets and stuff like that?
I think I would say like 10% or 20%. I mean, I played Skyrim, but that was when I was like younger.
Okay.
Like, you know, when it released. So I don't really remember now, and I haven't catched up with the DLCs and stuff.
So you're a fake fan, huh?
Oh, I still love Skyrim. Okay, I still love Skyrim.
No, I get you. Based on your knowledge, what is the character that you hate the most?
Nazeem, the usual.
Huh.
I can never forget Nazeem.
Huh, why is that?
It's because of how rude he is.
Can you give me an example?
You know, what's this line again? It's about the Cloud District, you know?
Yeah, what about it?
No, actually, he's just, you know, very rude when you like speak to him and like very boastful with the words. And when I first, you know, encountered him, I was like, I don't know if I can say the word, but like, I was like, the hell?
Okay, no, I see. So, you know, there's a lot of rude Skyrim characters, but why do you think Nazeem of all is like the most memeable and why is he so hated?
For me, I think because Whiterun is a place where our, you know, first home is, you know, like when you play Skyrim, that's our first home, and you'll come across Nazeem almost every time. So you'll always hear him when you're going around Whiterun doing your quests and stuff.
So funny enough, that's actually the subject of my video. It's a documentary about Nazeem. So, and you actually got it like straight on. It's exactly like you read my mind. I don't know if you read my script.
Oh, I'm just glad that I hit the bullseye, man.
I actually was not expecting you to get Nazeem on the first try. I thought you were going to say something like, I don't know, Delphine or something.
Oh, no.
Why are there so many annoying characters in Skyrim? Because I feel like Oblivion didn't have that many. Fallout 4 didn't have that many. Like, what is wrong with Starfield didn't have any that I remember.
Oh, yeah. True.
Well, thank you for your time. I'll for sure, your input is very valuable. Like Nazeem's input is very valuable to the Jarl, apparently. According to what he says.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you.
It was fun, man. It was fun.
So let's sum up some of the arguments as to why so many people hate him. 1. Nazeem's attitude towards the player and NPCs is being very arrogant, very braggy, and all the reasons that we stated above. Another aspect I would say is the location. Whiterun is the first major city that we visit and he's on the main street basically talking shit. Given that he's the first uber annoying character, people just latch on to the first thing they see. Kinda like how a duckling assumes that the first creature they see is their mama. But in this case, the first annoying character the player sees is the mortal enemy. I would say this is also due to the snowball effect. If one person says that Nazeem sucks, 3 others will start saying it. And then just like that, we start a bullying cult. Now, not to get serious, this is actually very sad when it happens in real life, but it's pretty funny when it happens in a game. In conclusion, I would have to say that I actually would have loved to see way more of Nazeem. Whoa, hear me out before you start booing. Nazeem is a pretty unfinished character with a lot of cut content associated with him. I would have liked to see him confront Jensen, maybe have a divorce with his wife, maybe even lose his business and fall into a deep depression. But instead, we got this.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't.
Now, a lot of other Skyrim characters are like this, and while on one hand, it's a shame to not see it all complete with all the pieces of the puzzle together, on the other, the leftover files we can see in the creation kit along with the gaps of information encourages people to talk about the lore and the characters of this game, speculating on what could have been, and coming up with new ideas and theories, even mods. Going back to Nazeem, while I absolutely despise him, I want to break his skull open and cuck him by stealing his wife. Even after that, I'm really glad that he exists because he's an amazing example as to why Skyrim is such a great game. Now if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more, especially if you want to see more videos like this from me, since this is not my typical content, but it does have that Nariva spice to it. Shout out to Capt and Panda, who also has a very similar channel to mine. He also reviews mods, so check him out. I'll link to his channel in the description. A massive thank you to my Patreon supporters who continue to support more and more content here. Your name can also appear at the end of my videos, and you'll also unlock longer versions of my videos with bloopers and behind the scenes. You can also have a chance to get roasted in my videos if you choose the Nazeem Lover tier, which would actually be a massive fuck you to me after making this video, but whatever. Other than that, click on this video if you want to see the latest mods for Skyrim, and click on this video. It's a little bit older, but I killed Nazeem with a bunch of other mods, so it's always a fun time, always great time, yeah, always amazing. So yeah, go ahead, come on, cool, now leave me alone.